Okay, so when we talking about concept in Tanya, as I said, Alter Rebbe is here to explain the concepts of Chassidut, and it's regarding the Chassidut have few ideas that they are the foundations, and from that you can understand many ideas or practice that Chassidut doing more and more than Jewish religion without Chassidut. Now you may ask yourself, why are we learning Chassidut right now? If we also in a parallel meetings we be learning the basic stories of the Torah. So Chassidut, it's not something. It's basically the secrets of Torah. As we talked last time that it was secret, and Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Israel Baal Shem Tov started to make it public, with practice and with his followers, and then it became more and more public. So Chassidut in our generation is not something that need to be learned after and above everything. It can be learned in the same time, even though it's deeper level in Torah. I hope the camera is not bothering you. You see only me.
Yeah, that's right.
And also only Michael will see it.
Okay.
I think. And so Chassidut, why Chassidut in our generation can be learned in the same time? Because we're living in times that you can put from the beginning the glasses of Chassidut, and through that glasses to see the story of the Torah. You don't need, in previous generations, you were learning the Torah without glasses, with your own eyesight, and then you put the glasses of Chassidut, and then you understand maybe much deeper even than our generation. But we're living in times that Chassidut is giving the life to everything that we're learning, and we don't have time to learn without feeling how it's alive, and then to put life to what we're learning. It's like the 3D glasses, you know this, red and blue. Or we don't have time to read without the glasses, the 3D, and then to put the 3D. We need to learn from the beginning with the 3D, and then all our Jewish life will be lit in a deeper way. So that's why it's important to learn it. So we will talk. You will see what I'm saying now as only like words. For now it's empty words, because you don't see how Chassidut given life. But in the learning you will see how what I'm saying now it's true. Okay, so there is few principles, as I said, in Chassidut, that they are the key points, the key principles. I would say the first principle in Chassidut, and this is the first principle in Tanya, that this is the foundation book of Chabad Chassidut, and one of the foundations book in Chassidut in general. So in Tanya, the first principle, the first key that Alter Rebbe bringing us, it's the key of two souls. And what are they? So Alter Rebbe starts in the first chapter that we open now in our book with many questions, as every Jewish book starts. With many questions, because as we talked, oral Torah, I don't know if you word it, I think oral Torah belongs to us. We talked about it in Shabbat, maybe.
This Shabbat.
Yeah. Oral Torah belongs to people. Written Torah belongs to God. We're not touching it. It's His. We're learning it, but we will not touch. We will not change. We can try to explain, but our explanation will be the oral Torah. Now, how people works, they don't see everything clearly. They need to ask. They need to understand. They need to think about it. Sometimes they come with new ideas. In the written Torah, there is no new ideas. There is no questions. It is what it is. It's God. So that's why oral Torah starts with questions. Why? Because this is how oral Torah works. We try to understand, we figure it out, and then it becomes part of Torah. So the question doesn't matter very much, a lot. It does talking about how come there is people that they are righteous, there is people that they are wicked, and there is people that they are Beinoni, meaning middle people, in-betweeners. How you can be in between? And the Alter Rebbe proves that basically the world think what is righteous, have the good are more than the bad. The good things wicked, the bad is more than the good. What is Beinoni? That they are the same. The Alter Rebbe said, according to the Jewish law, a person called righteous only if he have no bad things. And he called good only if he and he called wicked even if you have only one bad thing. Meaning, I'm talking about practice of Jewish laws. So when he is in the middle, in between. So this is the question. And here Alter Rebbe giving his first insight that in Judaism, of course, the most important thing is the practice. What you're doing and what you're not doing. And when you're practicing good all the time, you're the righteous. And if you're practicing bad all the time, you're wicked. Okay. And if you practice one time even, once in 70 years, you're not righteous. It's not Alter Rebbe's idea. It's the Jewish law. What does that mean to be wicked? I am wicked, you are wicked. What does that mean? It means that we're doomed to hell? No, it doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean this. We're not talking even in Hasidut, we're not talking about hell and heaven so much. But this is a different topic. What does that mean that you're wicked? And how it's giving us, what is Beinoni? So the Alter Rebbe put another parameter, I would say. There is parameter? There is such a word? How you say it in English?
Parameter, yeah.
Parameter. To the equation. Okay? What is the parameter? It's the parameter of the feelings. There is a person that is doing good. But why is doing good? Because there can be extreme cases. There is a person that he grew up in a small little town in Africa. And he lived until the age of 10. And he died from hunger. And what he did all his life, short life, this strategy person, he shared with his brothers his food. He didn't kick anyone. He was a weak child. He didn't have power to kick anyone. So he's righteous. And there is a person that grew up in New York, had a good health care, lived until the age of 99, become rich. Okay? In business, sometimes people got insulted from him, embarrassed from him. He didn't steal, he was not a bad person. But he lived his life, every person have his mistakes, so he's wicked. No. So we need to see what was the feeling inside. Now the feelings are not changing the equation of your action. They are not mixing with this schema of how much your action were good and bad. No. It's going totally different. So now we will explain from the beginning what is righteous, what is wicked, and what is the in-betweeners. And we will do it short. I mean, it's heavy. Now we're doing everything short. After we will see what can elaborate more. A person that he is righteous. What does that mean? Now in Hebrew, I would prefer to use the terms in Hebrew. And you will need to remember, it will not be first glance, but the righteous in Hebrew is the Tzadik. You know this word?
I've heard.
Okay. Tzadik is the righteous. Because the terms in English are not exact. In the wicked, it's called the Rasha. Rasha. Tzadik and Rasha. And the Beinoni is the Beinoni, is the middleman, the betweener. Beinoni. Okay, to explain that, we need to explain what is feelings and what is basically what is the soul inside. So we all have bodies. This for sure. What are the bodies? The bodies, the Torah said that we have bodies from the ground, from sand. Yes, like the animals. The animals came from the sand, and also the human body came from the sand. And our sage is saying, from sand you came, and for the sand you will return. That's why we burying in Jewish burial, very, very important, that the body will be connected to the sand, not to be in a shalom, not to be totally in the, how do you say, coffin, the body in the burial.
Yes.
Coffin. Okay.
Sorry, what was the concept again?
That we should return to the sand.
I see. So that's why
Yeah. Now the question is, this is our body. What is the soul? So the Torah said that God gave every Jew a soul. What is the soul? The Torah, when we talk about creation, so God said there will be light, there will be sun, there will be moon. This is what God said. The soul came through, I would say exhale, how you say?
Yes.
Exhale, yes? No.
Yes. Well, that's the action of doing it.
So how is it called? Exhalation.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I don't think it's exhalation, but
Some act blowing. To blow.
yeah.
How you call the blowing, yes?
Yeah.
From blowing. So what does that mean? It means, what is the difference between speech and blowing? So if you need to speak, how long a person can speak, especially me? You can speak for a few hours and you will not be tired and you will not feel no air inside. Speech is something that representing not a inner power, representing power that it's for the outside. I'm sorry for all the balagan here.
No.
They're eating here also, I think. Tempo? No.
As a musician, I have to sort of ignore what's going on around.
Okay.
So I know how to focus.
So this is, God did not say those words because God doesn't have mouth. He didn't say there will be light. There was no voice going out in the space will be light. No. For voice you need mouth, or you need. Why God need a voice? He doesn't need a voice. It's referring to specific energy. Energy that it's exampled by speaking. The analogy for this energy is speaking. Why speaking? Because speech represents two things. It represents something that I'm doing for others. If I will do for myself, I can think. I don't need to speak. For others, I need to speak. Why? Because God created something that is separated from Him. It's not Him, it's something else. So this is why it's speech. And the second reason why it's speaking, because speak I can do for hours. Meaning it's not me myself. I can talk for hours. It's not my self-powers I put in that speech. Meaning when God created the sun, the moon, earth, it's not Him Himself. But when God created the soul, the Torah said that He blew the soul into the body. So this, totally something else. How long you can blow something? A balloon. It's hard. Why? Because you're putting something. You're not playing yes. You will. So to blow something, it's very hard. Why? Because it's representing different style of energy. Representing something that it's created for the outside. Because it's not like thoughts, that it's staying inside. The thoughts, it's no one knows. What I'm blowing is going outside to the world. But it's from inside. This is the Jewish soul, going inside the sand body. Yes? The body from sand was created by speech, by speaking. Now sand is not bad. It's God's creation. But it's totally not like the soul. The Holy Soul. Now this is the Holy Soul. It's part of God that was created. That is like the first step. Now, this is not the Holy Soul. This is the second soul. The first soul called the animal soul. What does that mean? It means that we have a body. The body is not alive. And we have a soul. Now, we have in our schema the godly soul. But between the godly soul and the body, there is the animal soul. That this is the soul of the body, or the soul of the animals. What is animal soul? We talked about it.
Yes.
Animal soul is the life that our world have. God created a soul for each and everything in the world. For animals, for trees, for how we call
Cheers.
No, I mean things that are not alive. There is such a term.
Maybe.
There is plants and animals, and there is all the rest that they are. Everything have soul. Everything have some power, some specific energy. That this is the spiritual energy of this thing. And animals, it's something alive, and plants maybe. The person that it's something alive. And human beings have something special. Meaning, we have 2 eyes, and nose, and mouth, and we have brains, and we have ears. So our soul is a reflection of our body in a spiritual way. And the soul built from a body. That we will learn the details of the soul. Basically, the animal soul is the reflection of the godly soul and of the body. The godly soul also reflected in the body. We can see it. We will learn about it. So, the animal soul comes first. Why? Because the animal soul is our instincts. Our instincts are the animal soul. If a person feels the need for eating, he probably hungry. Because he need to eat. Because his animal soul, his natural soul, telling him, you must eat, because you need to stay alive. Now, this soul is not only about instincts, it's, as I said, it's a live being. So it means that it have also love for food. It's alive. Now it's growing. So it means these are not something that you get in the first second in your life. It's growing dependent on your understanding of its understanding. The animal soul understand how the animal soul understand the world. We're talking about animal soul, we're talking about ourselves. Who is now speaking? Me. It's my body, my animal soul speaking. Because this is the life of the body. But I will already put this idea also because I'm speaking speech of Torah. And because I want to say it. Who wants to say it? My animal soul? I don't think so. It's the godly soul using the animal soul to use the body to do speech of Torah. Okay?
Like a mediator.
Yes, but it's not in our case, in our lives, in our usual life. It's not a mediator. Why? Because most of the things that we do, this is the source. Yes, most of the things that we do, this is the source. Now, every human being, doesn't matter if it's Rasha, that this is the wicked, or is the Tzadik, that this is the righteous, using godly soul and animal soul and the body. When he's doing mitzvah, when he's doing something bad, the wicked is doing something bad, it's animal soul using the body. Now, as I said, every person is born with an animal soul alive and active, thank God. How it's alive and active? The kid's crying because he's not feeling comfortable, he's hungry, This is animal soul alive. And it's growing according to the animal soul understanding. Basically, in the beginning, it's cookie, it's sweets, and then it's toys, and then it's, as I said, money, and going up and up. The Tzadik is born differently. The Tzadik is, when he's born, he's crying also. Because he's have animal soul. But why the animal soul crying? Because it's not comfortable. Who cares? The godly soul cares. Why? Because the godly soul knows that we need body. Because God sent us here to do mitzvot. Meaning he feels the godly soul from the beginning. This is his nature. This is his first instinct. The godly soul is absolutely controlling in nature the animal soul. Meaning, this guy will never have the feelings, the desire to do something that it's not godly. So what's the difference between the tzaddik and the Rasha? The Rasha feeling constantly the animal soul. What does the animal soul wants? Not to do anything. Self-preservation. This is animal soul. Self-preservation, self-instincts, self-pleasure. This is selfie. The tzaddik, selfless. Why? Because the godly soul, the core of the godly soul, what is the core of the godly soul? It's God. He blew himself. So the core of the godly soul is not about me being holy. The core of the godly soul is God. The love of the godly soul is not I love to learn Torah. No. It's I love to be connected to God. And I know this is the way to be connected to God. I fear God. The soul is, the godly soul, it's the 100% opposite of the animal soul. The animal soul, the core is me, myself. Self-preservation, pleasure. Godly soul, the core of the godly soul is God, is selfless. It's not me. That's why, in a way, the glory of godly soul, when it being represented, the core of godly soul, When a person willing to sacrifice himself to God. To die. Why? Because it means that the godly soul now willing to be reconnected with God himself, and her being will cease to exist. Because this is for her the everything. So this is the core of the difference between godly soul and animal soul. Self or not self. Now, the Tzadik, we now understand that he is totally selfless. Everything that he's doing to stay alive is because the godly soul telling him to stay alive. If he can do less to stay alive, he will do less. If he can physically fast 300 days a year, maybe he will do it. Or he will think it will make him weaker, and then he will have less energy to serve God, so he will not do it. But it's all, I'm telling more than that. What's the difference by the tzaddik between eating bread and learning Torah? Okay? When he learning Torah, he feeling how the Torah giving him energy, because the godly soul feeling in every word of the Torah the connection with God. So we feel alive, more alive when learning Torah. When eating bread, who receiving energy?
The body.
The body. So he doesn't like to do it. The godly soul kind of forcing him to do it. In a general, it's not all the picture, because there is a self-purpose also for the godly soul when eating bread. But we will not go into that right now.
So who is the middle ground?
Okay, 1 second. Who is the wicked? We understood. Who is the middle ground? The middle ground, Alter Rebbe is saying, is our goal. Our meaning me and you. Meaning the people that were born with animal soul alive and kicking for itself, meaning they are not righteous, their goal is not to be righteous. It's to be Beinoni, the middle ground. Now this sounds kind of sucks. Why? Because it means that we cannot be tzaddik.
Yeah.
This is fair? It's not fair. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Because God did not create the world for the tzaddikim. God created the world. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, everything is fine?
Yes.
Great. You want something to drink?
So, what is the purpose by those tzaddikim people? They are basically angels in a body. God created the world for angels? No. It's not funny, it's not fun, and it's not nothing to see people that have no challenges doing what they're supposed to be doing. I mean, it's all good and fine. It's not totally all the story, but again, I'm saying in general. When the tzaddik was born and growing up and becoming a righteous person that love and fear God, it's basically his soul in earth. It's exactly how it's in heaven. Okay? Our purpose is not to become tzaddik, because God will not create the world for those people.
I see.
God created the world for people to overcome challenges. And the first challenge is not outside, it's inside. Not to be ruled by the animal soul. So what is the status of a Beinoni? Beinoni is basically the same person as the Rasha, the wicked. Exactly the same. But he waking up in the morning, he feeling that he want to stay in bed if he can. Not to go to prayer. Or he have his nature. He wants everything that that human being wants. But he doesn't let do not let those feelings to control his actions. So how you can call it a status? It's not a status. So inside, in the soul itself, themselves, we can say that is in the same, absolutely the same level of the Rasha. Yes? But there is a certain difference between the Rasha and the Beinoni that's separating between the two. It's not that they are basically the same, he just overcoming and he's not. The difference not starting in the actions. The difference starts a bit earlier. And this is basically the core of Chabad way of life. Is the status different between the Beinoni and the Rasha? The godly soul, as I said, is inside the animal soul. And the animal soul is inside the body. Yes? Have its kind of clothes that fit to the body. So, how the Beinoni can hold his life control his actions? Seems impossible. This guy, every time, a small second, that they have this instinct in nature to look somewhere that you're not supposed to look, he controlling it. How come? He's a normal guy. He's like me and you. How he can do it? I mean, you, maybe. I don't see how a regular guy, I don't think it's possible for a person to live for so many years in normal place to be Beinoni. Rather, there is a way that even when you are Beinoni, you are trying that the godly soul will control your animal soul. It's not only that you're controlling action of animal soul. Your godly soul controlling the animal soul. What does that mean? What I'm trying to say is that the fight is not only about the action. The real war is in the action between the godly soul and the animal soul. But the fight starts inside, in the souls. What does that mean? How it works? So, what are the tools of the godly soul? And what are the tools of the animal soul? The tools of animal soul are pretty simple. Because the animal soul is the default, is that the animal soul rules, yes? Sending it instincts. And the default is that you're living in a world that it's the same level of the animal soul. Meaning everything is, nature is not godly. The world built in a system that it's fit to your pleasure, self-protection needs. So the war is very hard. But, so the tools of the animal soul are pretty simple. The world and the feelings of the need of self-pleasure or self-preservation. The feelings. Now the tool of the godly soul are the mind, the intellect, the understanding. And by the understanding, when you direct your feelings, so you can explain the animal soul a different view. And then the godly soul have some say inside about what will be the first reaction if you want to do something. And I will explain just right now what I'm saying, because it's pretty... Let's say a person, a Beinoni, waking up in the morning. What will be the things that a Beinoni do in order to stay Beinoni? He wake up in the morning, he have his routine of religious person, I would say, for example, that he washing his hands, saying some blessings, drinking coffee, going to pray at synagogue. Okay, let's say. And then, in the prayer, what will be the mitzvah? To say the words. What will be the Beinoni's way to do the saying? The Beinoni way would be to... It's a lot of balagan today. I don't know what's going on. Все хорошо.
No, please.
Enjoy. So, the Beinoni way would be that in the prayer, he really thinking about how God is controlling the world and how God loved me and how He chose me to be His person to execute His will and how He chose the Jewish people and how everything that's happening in the world is controlled by God and how great is He, and then many things He can think of. Everything that's doing to Him the work, what it's doing to Him, creating for Him, in Him, a love for God, a love and an emotion, a love, respect, something. This emotion can be revealed, like can be felt by whom? By a godly soul that have the clothes of the godly soul, is the animal soul. Meaning he's feeling in the prayer a strong feeling that driving him to do Torah mitzvot. In a way, he's feeling like the Tzadik. Because the Tzadik, this is instinct. This is what the Tzadik feeling all the time. He's feeling this love and fear for God. The godly soul feeling. Now the Beinoni create in himself this feeling, and then he have certain drive to keep it like this few hours. To be like the Tzadik, that it will be a much easier fight for him. You know, when a person feeling the love for his wife, okay, when will be some distraction, he will immediately dismiss it. If he's true for himself and he's honest and he's now in the middle of feeling something, it will not be a hard war, it will be a very easy war.
Right.
So if he maintains this kind of feelings, let's say he can be reminded about the feelings in the end of the day, after 8 hours sitting in the office, he needed to be reminded by the feelings that he had in the morning. So he can pray Mincha, the prayer of afternoon, and he can pray Arvi. He need all the time to maintain, to how do you say, to support, to feed this need. Okay? So this is his work. So the work is less about practice, because the practice you will not win without feelings, because you cannot. You cannot win. But, so listen, we didn't talk about the judgment, about the score in heavens. If you enter the good place or the bad place. It's not about scoring. We're talking about how to maintain our work here. The final results there are much less important. In Judaism, we don't care so much about heaven and hell. It's not our language. I will tell you another thing. Hell, that we say in hell, it's not the typical hell that other religions have. This is first of all. But second, and very importantly, it's not a final station for anyone. It's only the way to go to heaven. The question is, how long you need to be there? How long the soul need to be purified to be able to feel the feelings of heaven? Because after the soul being a few years here, and then let's say being here for 80 years, and all those years you only felt bad feelings, the animal feeling, they infected the soul. So you need to be purified, meaning to suffer the strange feeling of goodness, because for her it will be strange. And this suffering eventually will stop being suffering. This is hell.
Right.
Because it's not physical, and there is no punishment for the soul. It's totally different concept it's not a punishment at all. There is punishments but it's not for Jews. So this is the old story in short. The goal is that a regular person that have both feelings of animal soul and godly soul will figure out a way to strengthen and to reveal these feelings that he already have inside by the godly soul, but just to reveal them by thinking, for example, and by concentrating in goodness, and then it will give him more drive to overcome the challenges, like the Tzadik that have drive. You need help?
Yeah.
I will.
Sorry, no, for 1 minute. You can scan.
I will scan it.
Scan this.
Yes.
And send it for my
Yes,
mail.
I will do it right now, or in a few minutes I can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this is the point.